Welcome to the Personal Brand and Leadership Podcast. This is the space where I guide you to elevate your leadership awareness and to build a powerful personal brand. I am Kareem Raymond, an expert in high-impact personal branding, and my goal is to empower you to share an authentic and meaningful message with the world. In each episode, I will provide you with practical tools and strategies to help you take your leadership to the next level. Together, we will explore how you can discover and develop your true leadership potential and create a personal brand that aligns with your vision and purpose. If you're ready to start making a meaningful difference in the world, tune into the Personal Brand and Leadership Podcast. See you then. So welcome to this new episode of my podcast, English season. And today I have a very special guest, someone that I admire, someone that I look up to whenever I'm talking about speaking and have like a reference. Mike Rayburn has been in the speaking business for many years. I think more than 20, right? Like maybe more than
20,
that.
Exactly 25.
25 years. He has filled out the biggest places for speak in the US. He's going to tell us a little bit. Most of us wouldn't even know how that place looks. And one of the things that I admire the most, besides him being someone that I have seen in life, in real life speaking, and I know his trajectory, is someone who has created a system. He calls it Virtuoso system, where he inspire other people who want to become speakers to excel in what they do and to include their natural geniuses and their natural gifts into speaking in bigger audiences. So thank you so much, Mike, for being here. For me,
Kareem,
it's an honor.
Thank you. You are wonderful. I'm so pleased to be here. We've been friends for what, 6 years or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. I love the chance for us to connect.
Awesome. And one of the ideas behind our conversation today is for people who have always business people who are mostly my audience here, who have been in business. They have this idea of, oh, one day I want to become speaker. I want to be paid for sharing my story. And they have not taken that step. They might have been able to, give trainings or any other settings of like sharing information. And there is another level, which is like impactfully talking in front of an audience. So I would like to ask you first, Mike, to share.
Sure.
I know there is 25 years of story, but briefly, how did you end up speaking?
Good question. And thank you. That's a very kind intro. It makes me feel good. Speaking is a career that chose me. I mean, in every way. Because it wasn't on my radar. It wasn't something I thought of. There's very few kids growing up playing in the sandbox thinking, I want to be a speaker when I grow up. It's not a normal thing. Maybe a few, but not many. And so what I was a guitarist and comedian and a songwriter. I was a songwriter in Nashville. I was signed to Sony Music Publishing, a publishing deal. And that's the biggest country music publisher in the world. And I was touring as an artist. I was playing and singing some of my own songs, but mostly doing guitar and comedy. And that's all my stuff, but I would make fun of songs, artists that we know. I would do human mashups where I actually perform like Bob Marley sings Garth Brooks, or, One Direction sings AC/DC, that kind of thing. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and it was I was blessed to be successful with that. In the college market, I was there. I played for over 16 years. I played about 1,800 college shows, and just in that niche market, I was voted America's Campus Entertainer of the Year 3 times in 4 years. So I say that, I'm not trying to brag on that, but I say that to say it was working. Okay, things were good, and at the same time, what was working that people didn't know about is I had this personal development side. This side that was listening to Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy and Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen and some of these guys, these pundits that we now know, Patricia Fripp and Scott McCain, some of these speakers who are pretty well known. And I was listening to them, but it was my personal development habit on the side. My songwriter friends at Sony were not interested in goal setting. Okay, they just or what mindset works right for success. I don't know. And so as I kept studying this, I started to dial a little bit of a motivational message just on my own. Just it came out one night into the end of my program. And then I have a friend named Jana Stanfield. Lord knows I have told the story a few times, but Jana is a hit songwriter. She wrote a hit for Reba McEntire. She wrote a number of hits for other people and a speaker. And she heard me. I was at Zany's Comedy Club in Nashville, and I sat down with her after the show. And she said, Mike, you're clean, you're funny, and you have a message. You're a speaker, and you don't even know it. And I said, what's a speaker? What do you... Literally, I was like, what are you talking about? And when she described it, then I realized, holy, she's talking about a motivational speaker, which I've been listening to, driving around the country in my little van. And so I started thinking about it, and I realized one of the things that I have in my life is I like to do things no one else has done. It's kind of hard to find things that no one else has done that are worth doing, but I realized at that point there was no one in the speaking world, in the professional, presenters for corporations. There was no one who was, teaching innovation, creativity, and performance, profit too, but teaching that and illustrating with guitar and comedy, playing, singing, whatever. No one was doing a keynote like that. And so I realized, number one, I could do something no one else has done. And this is the other thing. Anybody who's thinking about being a speaker, I strongly encourage you to consider this. I was not a speaker in search of a message. That's someone who wants, and this is not wrong, but that's someone who wants to be a speaker, and so they start thinking, now what can I teach? I thought, I am going to teach what I personally know works. And if it's accepted by the market, great. And if it's not, I don't want to be, I don't want to trace a trend or be a hack, right? Sometimes you just got to take a chance. And so I composed this keynote, and it wasn't at the time. It had the tool that I teach called What If, but it wasn't called What If at the time. Now you can see my hat. My keynote, my number one, my signature keynote is called the What If Keynote Experience. And so I started teaching, and I taught three tools. Ultimately I taught to ask the question, what if, to set goals that don't exist, write music, the way I say it, write music that you can't play. Set a goal where you don't know how, but you know what. And the third one now is to make the choice to become a virtuoso, meaning to become your personal best. Most people never make that choice. Most people, instead of rising to their personal best, pursuing the best they could possibly be, they pursue what others require. Good enough, getting by, okay. Instead of going that extra, but what we find is that pursuit of becoming your personal best. Again, it's not compared to anyone else. It's compared to you, because that's the hardest battle ultimately. It's pursuing personal best. Once you make that decision, life changes, and it's all for the better. It's crazy how it works. I learned this from Brian Tracy. I say it differently. I teach it a little differently now, but the basis of it came from Brian. I love to give him credit, because he's been such a good friend and mentor to me when he didn't have to be, right? And he did. And so I would taught people to make this choice to become a virtuoso. So I was teaching that, and it worked. Then, and I'll finish up with this. What happened over time is that, in fact, the keynote in the beginning was called Take a Step Beyond. And it was because a speakers bureau needed a title for it. I didn't have one. They called me one day, and I made it up on the phone. It was that much.
That profound.
Yeah. So anyway, what happened is everyone resonated with the what if, with the tool asking what if. That's what they would repeat to me afterwards. They would repeat to each other afterwards. It caught on like a song hook that you can't get out of your head. And I would get emails from people going, what if? And the subject would say, what if? And then they'd ask, what if you did our event for free? And I'd say, no, that's not going to happen. But anyway, I went to a coach. This is 4 or 5 years into it. I was working with a coach named Lou Heckler, and I told him all that. And he said, Mike, I think the world's telling you your keynote's called "What If."
Yes.
Blinding flash of the obvious. Um, and so I switched it to "What If." The good thing about that is I could go completely into "What If," which is about creativity and innovation. Oh, change
Mm-hmm.
is in a part. Change is a major part of that as well. But it's innovation and creativity and change. How those all come together. It's a tool for affecting those, for leading those, for implementing those. And so the good thing about that is, okay, so that caught on. What if I've been teaching it? It's going. I'm getting booked right and left. I'm getting all these. Thank you. It was so good. And then I wanted a new keynote. And so this past year and a half, I have been writing something called "Perform Like a Virtuoso." Not, and I don't claim to be a virtuoso. I'll let others conclude that or not. Um, but I am strong enough on the guitar that I can at least represent that to a certain degree. And so it's become a virtuoso. And what I do, what I realized, and I know you'll get this. This is right up your
Uh-huh.
alley. Is that the high achievers, the people who, business people, performers, leaders, politicians, teachers, whatever, the people do things differently. They think differently, and really the thing that high achievers need to work on or have the biggest challenge with is not knowing what to do, because they do know. It's knowing how to
Mm-hmm.
handle the blind spots, because there's blinds, the stuff they didn't see that sneaks up and derails them. The mindset that's been trickling in the back there that's holding things down. Getting complacent, having to do with your success. Trying to be realistic about your goals. You don't want to be realistic about goals. Name anything worthwhile in this world that happened was not realistic when it was created. It was not
Mm-hmm.
realistic that we could have the internet, AI, phone. It wasn't realistic that we could have the wheel or the pyramids or Hannibal's victory over the Romans or the 1980 Miracle on Ice hockey team. All of those, not one of them was realistic. And so the problem is we start being realistic. So anyway, I give solutions in the new keynote to each of those blind spots, barriers. So anyway,
Uh-huh.
that's the quick overview of how it's gone. We can get
That's how you
specifics.
end up here.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm so excited just listening to you. And I'm going to get back to a couple of things that most, at least maybe in the Latin American world where I move the most, they don't understand the difference between a keynote and what it takes to build a keynote rather than, oh, they asked me to talk about this and then I just come out like every time with a different thing. So, would you explain to us, Mike, what is a keynote and what does it take to have a keynote that companies would be able to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for?
Absolutely. That's a great question, because that's the crux of it. That's what we're trying to do.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So a keynote presentation is the opening presentation or the welcoming presentation for an event. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say a corporation decides, I've just finished playing 3 sales kickoffs in January for corporations. And so they're going to get together. It's people fly out for a conference for 2 or 3 days to Orlando or Vegas or Nashville or wherever, and they get together. So the keynote presenter, I consider my job to set the tone for success. That's my job as a keynote.
Mm-hmm.
So a keynote, on one side, you've got like where I came from, which is all entertainment. I'm going to be funny and play guitar, and it's just, you're going to have a good time. That's it. Nothing you're going to go home and change your life, but it's going to be fun. On the other hand, you have speakers who have content. They have sales techniques, and they have motivational techniques and mindset tricks and different things that they teach in a keynote setting. How to
Mm-hmm.
find and retain qualified talent, how to use AI. Okay, so they have this expertise over here. If you do just the entertainment, it's entertainment. If you do just the content, it's a training or a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
If you bring them together, that's a keynote. So one of the differences in a keynote versus a training is that it's usually more entertaining. Okay, there's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more of an entertainment value and interactive value on the stage, rather than me standing at a whiteboard teaching and everybody taking notes. So,
Yes.
the key for me, the key is that they do want the entertainment value, because we get tired of boring speakers. Oh my gosh, people who just get up there and drone on and whatever. It's like, you don't want to start your conference like that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's what a keynote is. And I most often perform opening or closing keynotes, opening the conference or closing it. And the difference, set the tone for success as an opener. As a closer, inspire them to apply what they've learned. Okay, so in other words, remind them, you got a bunch of, one of the things I always ask people is, okay, what are you going to do differently when you get home because you were here? I ask that right now.
Yes.
Those of you listening to this podcast, what will you do? Pay attention to this as it goes down. At least one thing will you do differently because you listen to Kareem and me talk about this? Okay, that's my goal with a
Yes.
closing keynote.
Yes. And how long does it take you to create a keynote? Not, I mean, create it, but then because one of the things I really want people to get from this is not that I build a keynote, I deliver it, and then that's it. And then next time I do something different. I know it takes some testing things and
Yes.
putting them together and some practicing. So coming from someone like you who's been here for some years, tell us about your process. How do you come up with a keynote, and how do you test it to see what parts work and what parts you take in and you take out?
Wow, that's great. So a keynote presentation, I'm going to give you a quick outline or overview of what a standard keynote will have in it. And then I'll show you, I'll kind of walk you through how I do it maybe a little differently or the nuances that are possible. What I do, so there's an old adage in the speaking world that says 3 points in a poem. That's what you got to have. 3 points in a poem. Okay, and so in the old school, the Will Rogers days and the Zig Ziglar days and the Bill Gove and Cavett Robert, who started NSA, in their day, they would have 3 major points they're going to teach. Like I told you in the beginning, I had ask what if, write music you can't play, become a virtuoso. Those were the 3 tools I taught. Okay, so I would encourage anyone who's doing this, what tools, major like practices, tools, principles, do you want to teach? What, for me saying, I want you to ask the question, what if, and I show them how to do it. Okay, so list those 3. Now, come up with stories that illustrate or set that up. So stories are integral to all speaking. Think about it. The greatest speaker in the world, Jesus Christ, didn't tend to give rules. He told stories. That's how it works. And so it makes sense for us to do the same. So the 3 major points, stories that might go with those, and then think in terms of an opening way, a way to open it that catches their attention, and a closer that sends them off in the right way. And one of the ways I used to, now mine was, on one hand, people looked at me when I first was speaking, they looked at me as pretty avant-garde, pretty rogue, pretty different than a bit of a maverick compared to the other speakers, because number one, I was using guitar in comedy, and because but the way I closed, I'll explain in a second. So they would say it's 3 points in a poem, which is exactly what I had. I just did it differently. I had 3 points. My poem was I closed with a guitar version of The Devil Went Down to Georgia, the old Charlie Daniels song, and which very few people can play on a guitar. And so that was but it was still essentially the same design, 3 points in a poem. So let's go through those elements. Number one, you want an opener. You want to grab their attention in the first 30 seconds. And you want to do it, please don't anyone ever walk on stage and say, good morning. How's everyone doing? I freaking hate that. It drives me crazy because everyone does it, and it's always this kind of like it's the opening is an unbelievably great opportunity, and you kill it when you say that. Instead, start. My friend Patricia Fripp, she's British. She's very British. She's more British than British people, and and she'll get up there and she'll go. She'll walk out on stage. She'll look at the audience and go, there I was, walking through a blank, 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 blank. She starts right into the story, okay? That's one of the ways she does it. Another way, well, I'll show you how I did it. I have a little bit different now, but I would start by doing this on the guitar. I would walk out on stage. They've introduced me. They clap. They finish clapping. I haven't said anything. And I would go, ah. Okay, do it on this angle so you can see it.
Amazing.
Anyway, I would go on like that, right? Well, most people, especially back before the movie August Rush, most people hadn't seen anybody play that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd go do-do-do-do, 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 and then I'd start the faster part. Oh, it's feeding back. There we go. Sorry, the amp was feeding back. And so people hadn't seen that before, and so it would draw them in. And then my first comment after I finished all that was, I did that because I can. I did that because I would pause a little. I'd make it a joke. I did that because I can. And they would laugh. And it was a moment of levity that kind of brought people into the experience. And so that's how you gain their attention. Now, I've had speakers who will say, well, what if I can't play guitar like that? And how do I, all I have is words. Oh, you can do it. I watched a nurse give a speech one time. I was new to speaking at the time. This nurse gave a speech at a college, and she walked out on stage, and what she said was, okay, which one is most dangerous? Cigarettes, alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, or opioids? And I thought, everybody's like thinking through it, like, I don't know. And then she walked through each of them. I won't go into all of it, but she basically said, cigarettes will kill you, but it usually takes 25 or 30 years. Alcohol is socially acceptable, yet you can get addicted to it. Marijuana, in and of itself, people tend to be pretty mellow and mild. However, it is also a gateway drug, and it's also a motivational syndrome. It causes you to have a lesser life. Prescription drugs, absolutely necessary, easily addictable though. Get addicted, easily addictive. And then opioids, definitely bad for you, but not as common, harder to get a hold of a little bit than other stuff. Which one's the most dangerous? And I kept thinking through it. I couldn't come up with it.
Yeah.
And here's what she said. She said, I will tell you at the end. And I was like, you better pay this off because I'm staying. Okay, because I want to know the answer to this question.
I love it.
So think about what she did there. She drew everyone into her. She had them all in the palm of her hands in about 1 minute because of the way she did it. And it didn't have anything to do with an extra talent. And if you want to know do you want to know the answer?
Of course.
Everyone's, nah, it's all right. Come to my next seminar and I'll tell you the answer to it. No, it's a teaser. No, the answer. She finished her presentation and people clapped and then we're like, hold it. What about that? And she started to walk off and she said, oh yeah, you want to know which one was the most dangerous? And we're all just like, yes. And she walked through them all: cigarettes, alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, opioids. I said, we're all like, which one? And she said, the one that's the most dangerous is the one you like the most.
Oh, oh my God. Unforgettable.
And what I'm inviting all of your listeners to do is to look for that kind of probing question. It's very much like questions you see on Reels that try to get you clickbait. What you're giving them is essentially a form of clickbait, but it's for your presentation, not some silly, iPhone. So does that make sense?
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. Thanks. Yeah. It gives me so many ideas. In going to this route, Mike, I know you have done outstanding things in the stage. You have included technology. You have gifts. I don't know if you still give the gifts that you gave like last time that I saw you. Yes, and I want you to share about that and then also give us ideas of how can we implement it in our version of speaking.
Sure, absolutely. So say the first part of that question again, so I can make
Well,
sure.
like you have implemented like
Oh,
big and crazy and different things when you speak. It's not just the speaking, not only the playing a guitar. So yeah.
yes, sure. Well, I also, again, I like to do things no one's ever done. And so I
Mhm.
come up with those as I come up with them. They're sometimes I got so many I don't know what to do with myself, and sometimes I'm like, what else am I going to do? So, first of all, using the guitar is different. That's most people don't do that. And also for me as a guitarist coming from the entertainment side, the hard part was putting the guitar down, just speaking like this. Because I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's Linus's blanket back there. Okay, that's my comfort zone back there.
Mhm.
Out of my comfort zone is to put that thing down and just stand here and talk. Now it's comfortable, but it wasn't in the beginning. So the guitar is part of it. About 11 years ago, more or less, 2014, I I did something. I did the first ever performance keynote presentation using hologram. So
Yes.
yeah, so and you can go to MikeRayburn.com. You can click at the bottom, go to YouTube and search my name. Just write Mike in YouTube. Just write Mike Rayburn hologram. It'll come up. And look for the one that's like 7 minutes and 26 seconds or whatever it is. I say that I saw it the other day and I realized there's another one up there that someone did with their phone at the same time it was performing, but it's not.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
so that's all right. You'll find the right one. So what I was delivering the closing keynote for the National Speakers Association Influence Conference, Influence 2014. Influence is their major national thing. It's 1,500 of the best speakers from around the world all gather for 4 days. And if I'm delivering not just the keynote, but the closing keynote, you got to bring it, right? So
Yes.
the keynote was called Become a Virtuoso, and it was about that decision. It was the precursor to what I'm doing now. And then I knew I had to close with something cool. So what I did was I developed I'm in the right tuning too. I developed my own two-guitar arrangement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. So
Amazing.
Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is the okay. You can't see the guitar because I had to sit. Anyway, so I developed but two guitars. And I flew. I mean, you wouldn't believe what all I did to get this, but I ended up flying to Nashville twice to work with a studio guitarist friend of mine to create the two guitar arrangement. Sorry, I had to turn that off. And so, two guitars. How are you going to do that? So what I did was I created a hologram. This hologram, this 3D image of me, appears on stage next to me. And we play Beethoven. First, we have a conversation. So I'm talking with myself on
Mhm.
stage,
Yeah.
and then we make some jokes back and forth. I made a joke where I said, I say, I asked my hologram. I say, what's the coolest thing about being a hologram? And I answer, oh, the coolest thing. You know how you're on stage and you say something stupid and you just wish you could disappear, but you can't. And everybody kind of stares. I say, well, I can. And I snap my fingers and I disappear on stage. And then I come back, okay? And it's like, wow, okay. So I wanted to use the hologram side of it. And then I make the joke then the hologram's kind of, well, but we're going to do Beethoven, aren't we? And then I say, yeah, I'm going to play with myself. Oh. Um, So, and then we play Beethoven, and so it's just a back and forth. It goes on like that. So I traded the guitar parts back and forth. So anyway, I closed with that, and it was amazing. Now, it cost me almost $30,000 to create that thing,
To
and it
be
was a
able to do.
one-off. It was a one-off. So I didn't use it anytime before or since then, and it was just that one performance. But anyway, I'll do that. Now, back off from that's crazy and costs a lot of money. So if you're sitting there listening to
And
this,
it's awesome to come up with something like that and be
oh
able
yeah,
to actually execute it.
yeah. And actually, I've gone back. I just went to earlier this year. I went to Germany and worked with a company there on creating this for the rest of the program. I'm not there that I'm going to do it yet. I don't know for sure, but I'm looking at it. And the reason I'm not sure, I would do it if it was 2014. I'd do it right now. The problem is, the world is it's more difficult now to impress the world than it used to be. Meaning,
Yes.
hologram on stage in 2014 was like, what the crap is happening here? Nowadays, people have seen AI. They've seen so many things created. It's like, oh, yeah, it's whatever. And so do I want to invest all the money it's going to take and the time and the rehearsal and everything to create a hologram thing that's going to be like, oh, that's nice. No, I want it to be impactful, right? So I've done that. Yeah, so were there, tell me the rest of the question. Because
Yeah, no, the other one was you give gifts. And
Oh,
then
the
I
gift
think
gifts.
you took that from somebody like another speaker. You
Well
took
said.
the idea.
You remember very well.
Of course.
So one of the things I teach people, okay, back up. I have something called, just so people know, I have something called the Virtuoso Underground. It's my, well, Michelle would call it Big Back End. It's my year-long program where we apply the system that Kareem was just explaining called the Virtuoso system. I came up with a system that when people practice it, it works. And so the Virtuoso Underground is a 1-year renewable program. It's unlimited coaching with me. We have speakers. We have non-speakers. We have people who don't have any aspiration whatsoever to speak. And it's also small. I keep it tight. It's my inner circle. It's right now it's 8 people. I have 3 on the cusp of joining, which is more than I've had in a long time. But that's what it is. So I say that to say one of the things that we teach people is to have something called a model. Find a model, okay? There's coaches, models, and mentors. Mentors are someone who's done what you're going to do, what you want to do, and you can talk to them once in a while, ask them some questions. It's free. Coaching, you're paying for. It's one-on-one. You have an objective. You work your way to it. Model is someone who is doing successfully what you want to do, more successfully than you are, and you decide to study them. You don't even have to know one. The one I'm going to refer to, I do know. I don't know him real well, but I know him. I realized that there's another artist, another speaker named Kevin Wall. Eric Wall.
Eric Wall.
Eric Wall. And Eric, W-A-H-L. And Eric with a K. And he speaks about creativity. The difference is he has a big 12-foot canvas on the stage, and he paints with his hands and paintbrushes going everywhere. We've seen this kind of performance before. Back in the day, 40 or 50 years ago, Denny Dent is the guy who invented it. I always like to remind people, he's the one who started this. It wasn't when any of the others are doing it. Anyway, so he'll do this, right? And it works. And we play a lot of the same events. There's events like I'll show up and they said, yeah, we had Eric Wall last year. Or I'll show up and go, well, you got Eric Wall coming next week or whatever. So a lot of the same events. The difference is he books more than twice as many performances as I do in a year for more than twice as much money than I do in a year. So there's something he's doing that I'm not, or that I am that I shouldn't be. And I want to learn from him. What is it that's causing him to get to that level that I'm not at yet? Any one of us can find a model for wherever we are right now. You don't want someone who's where you are right now. You want someone who has overcome that and is doing it successfully so you can learn from him. So Eric does not know that I model him because he doesn't have to. What does that mean? I mean, I go to his social media. I go to his website. I listen to what others are saying about him in the marketplace. I notice, like, does he have 5-minute video demos or 10-minute video or 20 minutes? Does he have social media posts that are content? Are they entertainment? Or study them, learn. Like, it's almost stalking, and it's a very positive form of stalking. I'm just learning from, right? And it's just stuff that's online. It's all public stuff. So, Eric would give away one of the paintings that he does in the show. He ends up doing about 3 or 4 different big paintings. And he would have this little on-stage thing where somebody come on stage and he'd ask them this or whatever question. And if they did it right, he would surprise them by saying, you get to go home with this painting. Well, I wanted that element. And so I was working with my mastermind group in Atlanta, and we took a break, and I got online and I saw a video of Garth Brooks. You can find this. It's just Garth Brooks, Minneapolis. This will make sense later. Just search Garth Brooks, Minneapolis cancer. Here's why I mean to say that. What happened is there's a video of Garth, and Garth performs in the round, and there's this circular or oval stage, and the stage, if you stand, a basic adult standing up, the stage is the bottom of the stage is about right here, so he's standing above that, right? So there's a bunch of people here by the stage, and you can see them. Well, he's playing his song called "The Dance," and if you know "The Dance," it is an absolutely searching, really powerful song about life and getting the most out of it, and it's I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Love that. So he's singing this. The cameraman with the Tron, right? The cameraman finds a woman standing there. She's got a scarf because she's bald. She's got very plain clothing, and she's got a sign. And the sign said, I get choked up when I say this. The sign said, chemo this morning, Garth tonight, living the dance. So he throws her photo, her image on the Tron. Everyone starts to see it and goes crazy. Everyone's like, oh, wow, like this one, looking at her, right? Garth didn't see it at first, and then he sees it. So he comes over, and I'll paraphrase it. He sits down in front of her, and he's singing the dance to her. And then there's a point where it kind of stops, or it's winding down, and it's just the instrumental at the end. And he looks at his guitar pick, and he hands it to her, and everybody's clapping like, yeah. And then he looks down at his guitar, and he takes it off, and he hands her his guitar. And it's hers to go home with. And the crowd is going crazy. And then Garth says, this song is now over. And this is Garth's brilliance. He's a brilliant performer. He says, sometimes don't you wish God would reach down out of the sky and just write across the sky, I exist? He did right here tonight. You're going to kick cancer's ass. You're going to recover from this. And I'm watching this and I thought, I'm giving away guitars. I have no idea how. That's the key. Make the decision and then worry about how. Don't figure out how and then make the decision. So I said, I'm giving away guitars. And the first way I tried didn't work as well. But the way I do it now is because my program is about ideas, I have people share a new idea, something for the group. I'll say, I tease it at the beginning. I say, again, holds people. I'll say, this is about ideas. So at the end, I'm going to ask someone to share a new idea. Just stand up at your seat wherever you are. We'll give you a microphone. Share your idea. We'll talk about it. I'll get an audience reaction to it. And then and if you'll be the one to do that, I'm going to make it so worth your while. And I have the guitar sitting on stage, the electric. I give away electric guitar.
I've seen you doing that.
Yeah, it's if you go to my website right now, it's in the homepage. I mean, it's when you land, the landing video that plays just right when you land. If you just watch it, it's 30 seconds long or something. You watch that, you'll see me giving away guitars. 2 or 3 of them.
Love it.
I think I don't even know how many now. I'm probably up to about 250 or 300 guitars I've given away.
Wow. Yeah, that's your signature now.
It is a little bit, yeah. So that's one of the
like if someone wants to get in contact with you and maybe out of this conversation wants to learn how to be a virtuoso wherever they are, how can they find you?
Great question. And I'll say it this way. If anything that I'm talking about now has caused a question for you or piqued an interest or like you're thinking you want to know what to do next, just for you, Kareem, I do this there's a few other places I do this, but I keep it limited. I will offer, if anyone's interested, a complimentary 20 to 30 minute Zoom call with me.
Oh my goodness.
One-on-one.
It is so worth it.
And you ask the questions, and if it makes sense, and what we'll do is we'll have this call. I'm going to get you to share your what ifs or what you're thinking of, what you want to do. Why are we even talking? What's going on with you? How can I help? And again, I'll get the story. I'll offer some perspective, and then if it made sense for us to work together past that call, then we can entertain that possibility, the Virtuoso Underground or coaching or that kind of thing. And if not, that's cool too. I'll feel good that, hopefully I'll give you something that can help you. So
It's
the way to do
valuable.
that, I'll write it in the chat, but I'll just tell you what it is. I'm going to let people just email me directly.
Okay.
And is that all right?
And
Is
if
that
right now, yeah, and if right now you're driving and you don't have a way to type or read, just send me a direct message and I'll definitely send you Mike's email.
right? So my email is mike@mikeRayburn.com. It's spelled exactly like it sounds. Mike@MikeRayburn. Again, Mike@MikeRayburn.com.
Yes, this is completely worth it. Mike, what
Yes.
would be your message for people who are in the same path like me, just getting started, less than 20 years in the field, and they would like someday to to have a keynote that really impacts people? And I really like what you said, like that they come out taking action. What
Yes.
would be what would be a message that you'll send us or that you will give us?
Perfect. Well, you're setting up my asking the question that I quite often ask on those calls, and especially if they're interested in speaking specifically. And this is actually, it works for non-speaking. But what I ask you is this: what is it you just want to shake the world to get them to know, understand, or change? What is it you just want to shake somebody to get them to know, understand, or change? That's probably where you should look for your message. If you look at mine, everything, the way I answer that question is, I want to shake everyone in the world to get them to know you are capable of so much more than you realize. All you need is the right mindset and a few tools. Everything I do adds up to that. So having
Yes.
a Zoom call, having a keynote presentation, my Virtuoso Underground, and we've had unbelievable success stories with that. I mean, like ones you'll know of when I mention, oh, she was in this movie. Really? She took your program? Yeah. It's not, again, it's speakers. That's a sweet spot for me, but it's not, in fact, I would say most of the people in the group are not speakers. They are, there's an insurance guy, there's a world champion poker player, like the best in the world. There's a woman who's a life coach who's just coming in as a life coach. We have a lot of different people. So, where was I going with that? So all of those things add up to I just want to shake the world to get them to know you can do so much more than you realize. All you need is the right mindset and a few tools. And so ask yourself that question, and then let that be the foundation of the message that you share. Because then you're going to be, you and I have been part of a program that's about personal alignment, making sure that your inner is aligned with your outer, meaning that who you are as a human being is reflected in and expressed through your business rather than just something you came up with to make some money. That would be my first thing. Get straight on your message. What is it you want? What's the change you want to see in the world? Or, and one other caveat, or for a particular organization. Like there's some people who feel like, I know a guy whose ministry, his business, his ministry, his life is dedicated to helping the marriages of church leaders. So that's
Yeah.
what he wants to shake church leaders to get them to know your marriage can last. Okay, so I'm giving an example there. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mike.
Cool.
This has been such a gift. I always get inspired just being in your presence, and today is not the exception. So I hope soon we're gonna have another conversation, getting your wonderful stories. And just to finish, I would love for you to play some of. Because you said the closing part that most people wouldn't. And every time, I mean, how you play guitar is just magical. So yes, just
Well, thank you.
give
Let
us
me
that gift.
see if I can get this thing on here so I could. Interestingly, it's hard to play so that you can see the guitar. I'm going to have to. Here we go.
And for those who are not looking at the video right now, this is such a beautiful guitar. is all black. I don't think I've seen one like that. It has like this shape. I mean, you
Honeycomb
describe
pattern.
it.
Yeah, it's got a honeycomb pattern, and
pattern.
it's made of carbon fiber rather than wood, and so
Yes.
here we go. So I'm going to stand like this so you can actually see it.
We're having a personal concert here.
There we go. So this is how I start concerts now.
Amazing.
There you go.
What a gift, Mike. You're a gift in my life. I'm so happy and I feel so blessed to have enter in your path and to learn from you and to get inspired by you. And thank you so much.
Kareem, it's all back at you. I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for your friendship. And anytime we can do this again, you just let me know. Any way I can be of assistance, let me know. And you guys hit me up. I'm glad to, if you want to talk.
Yes, please do. It's going to be worth it.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks.